Just received the news less than an hour ago that President Duterte, has withdrawn the Philippines from the ICC. This is, of course, in response to the way the ICC has taken a partisan position. Instead of actually trying to investigate and find out what are the facts around the drug war of President Duterte, they have already made a judgment and are coming to fish for, I suppose, things that they can show to prove that these are extrajudicial killings. And so it's not exactly a surprise, or it's not exactly something that was not expected. And in fairness to the president, it's not, he has been saying that if you continue to behave in this unfair, non-objective, and partisan manner, I will withdraw the Philippines from the ICC. And they had continued, and now he has done exactly that. Kudos to him for standing up for the Philippines, because hindi naman siguro tama, ginaganyan na lang tayo, tinatrato tayo ng mga dayuhan na akala mo naman hindi tayo marunong dito, hindi tayo nakakaintindi, tayong inuutusan kung ano-ano pinagsasabi tungkol sa atin. Hindi na siguro talagang tama yan. Di tama yan. Di gagawin nila yung gusto nilang gawin, pero huwag nila sasabihin na kasama tayo at hindi tayo papayag na ay ganun ang trato sa atin. At saka minamata tayo nitong mga puti. It is hard enough to explain to some of these former imperialists that we are a sovereign nation. We are no longer a colony of any one of them. And that we are a mature, sovereign nation with our own ways of doing things, and it is not for them to judge us, because we do not judge them. I was invited once again to speak by the Liga ng mga Barangay, but this time the Liga in Batangas City. And they had a conference in Cebu, and I was invited once again to speak on federalism. Yes, this is happening because of the work that I did together with the different USECs and the secretaries of the DILG during the time that I was senator, and so we have formed a relationship. So they asked me to come whenever to explain all of these things to the barangay officials. Before I spoke before the barangay officials, I was able to spend a little time with the local press. They had their equivalent of a kapihan. Very appropriate nga na napag-usapan sa Cebu was the issue of federalism, or the question of federalism. Nabanggit ko nga doon sa mga barangay officials na doon nagsimula yung term na ginagamit namin, kaming lahat na local government na employees, staff, officials, sinasabi na Imperial Manila.
In fact, the first time I heard the term was here in Cebu, but it was adopted by many of the leaders around the country, Imperial Manila.
Kasi parang Imperial Manila, kami doon sa probinsya, inutos-utusan lang kami ng mga tiga Maynila na hindi naman alam kung ano ang sitwasyon doon sa amin. Bakit sila ang mag-uutos sa amin?
Lagi na lang tayo inuutusan, lagi tayong inuutusan ng mga tiga Maynila na hindi naman naintindihan kung ano yung mga problema dito sa atin, hindi naman alam kung ano yung dapat gawin, and that is the kind of, dito nga nabuhay yung prom D. Diba? That was something that we were all cheering because sabi ko, governor ako ng Ilocos Norte noon eh. Sabi ko, yun ang mga, hindi naman maganda yung mga pinapagawa sa atin. Sabi ko, sa papel, maganda ito. Pero kung gagawin talaga natin, it's not going to work dahil hindi practical na solution ito.
Kaya ko nga sinasabi, kaya ako sang-ayon sa federalism, dahil imbis na yung mga tigalabas ang nagsasabi kung paano patakbuhin ang lokal, yung mga lokal din ang magdidesisyon doon sa mga bagay-bagay na yan. And that's another argument I made. And I thought it was so appropriate because that term actually started in Cebu.
Political dynasties is that it's a natural, my experience, not because I belong to a political family, but just by looking at the experience tignan nyo sa barangay. Isa-isang barangay, meron dyan, walang interest sa politika kahit na ano, gusto lang magnegosyo, gusto lang mag-farm, walang interest kung sinong barangay captain, kung sino may, they don't, basta negosyo lang. Meron naman interesado sa politika. I think they have approached the problem the wrong way. Do not do that. Do not artificially try to choose for the people and say, hindi na pwede yan. Hindi mo pwedeng sabihin yan. What you have to do is change the electoral system. Our electoral system favors the rich, the famous, yung may pangalan, yung may basically the rich actually, the wealthy. Pero dyan, mahirap eh. Hindi nakapag-aral, pero talagang ang sisipag, ang talino, ang husay, ang bait. Dapat bigyan ng pagkakataon niya. I say that we have a very good anti-dynasty mechanism. It's called an election. So let us go back to that and use the election to pick the people na talagang pinakamagaling. Let us set up the electoral process so it does not favor one or the yung mayayaman lamang. A 30-second advertisement in the last election lumampas na sa 1 million. You can see how the costs are mounting and how many people can afford that. Very few people. A party can afford it, but an individual does not have to. My advocacy right now after the 2016 election is to the actual voting system. Is something that we have. There are too many questions as to whether or not the AES has been transparent, has been properly accountable, and does in fact reflect the true vote. So let us think about that as well. Bakit pa ako mangangampanya? I'll pay whatever, $20 million. I'll give it to Smartmatic. Sige, lagay mo ako, panalo ako. Whatever it is, I don't know how much it costs. Dahil hindi ako in the fera.
Very fertile ang ground sa Cebu na maunawaan yung idea na yung kapangyarihan ng pamahalaan ay ikakalat natin sa iba't ibang lugar, hindi lamang sa Maynila. We just had a quick lunch with some friends. We were joined by Mayor Tommy Osmeña of Cebu City. Well, Robert is a long-time journalist, and he's worked his way up to the ranks. He was his mentor actually in the business was Max Oliven, who he says it was the one who brought him up through the ranks.
He is the Davis Cup.
Bakit has achieved a following because he's a credible commentator and he has become a friend, and he asked me to come and do an interview with him on his program. What we are watching with great concern is that it looks like Comelec would want to return again and
Go back to the
go back and get Smartmatic again for the 2019 elections. They have not been able to resolve. They have not been able to answer all of these questions. So I think Comelec at the very least should wait until these resolutions come. And we talked about the many wide-ranging things. And consistent with Bobbitt, you always expect all the issues of the day. But he was talking about many, many other things, even giving a historical perspective to what's happening to us today. It is a fundamental requirement of a democratic system that we have the true number, the true count of votes for any position. As usual, very interesting, and we always find, Bobbitt, Absa, and I, we look at each other, was that an hour? So the time, as usual, goes by very, very fast. And so after that, I went to speak to the barangay officials in Batangas City. Hanggat maaari, pinupuntahan ko itong mga ganitong klaseng conference, lalo na kung barangay officials, dahil sa aking palagay, kasama sa katungkulan natin na ipaliwanag at ipaalam sa ating mga kababayan kung ano ba talaga ang nangyayari dito sa federalismo. At ang pinakamainam na paraan ay ang ating mga barangay officials. Dahil kagaya nga ng sinabi ko sa kanila, kayong mga barangay officials, hindi kagaya ng national officials na mga sekretary ang kausap, senador ang kausap, opisyal ang kausap. Kayo, ang kaharap ninyo araw-araw ay taong bayan. Pinapaliwanag ko nga ako minsan sa aking mga kapwa senador, sinasabi ko sa kanila, dapat huwag kayong masyadong nag-uutos sa ating mga lokal. Dapat makinig kayo sa mga local government officials. Dahil tayo, ako, ang kaharap natin araw-araw ay kapwa natin mga puro pulipan, senador din, mga department secretary, mga opisyal din. Pero sabi ko, ang local government na iba, lalo na ang mga barangay. Dahil ang barangay, araw-araw, ang kaharap nila, hindi opisyal, kundi ang taong bayan mismo. Kaya't hindi sila pwedeng mangako tapos hindi gagawin dahil sisitahin sila. Sasabihin, ano ba yung pinangako ninyo na... Kaya't kumbaga sa sundalo, yung barangay officials ang frontliner dahil araw-araw kayong humaharap sa taong bayan, araw-araw kayong hinuhusgahan ng taong bayan. Kaya ito ay napakalaking pagkakataon na ang barangay official ay maging bahagi doon sa ating pagkalat ng impormasyon tungkol nga sa federalismo nang makikita natin magandang pagkaunawa at pagboboto na sila, naintindihan nila kung ano yung binoboto nila. Pinakamalaking pagbabago ay ang pagkolekta ng buwis. Dahil sa ngayon, alam naman natin lahat, mayroong IRA. Mangungulekta ang LGU. Yung nakolektang buwis, padadala sa Maynila. Doon naman sa Maynila, gagamitin mo na yung pera tatlong taon bago ibababa sa probinsya. Hindi hanggang ngayon wala pang nakakapagpaliwanag sa akin bakit nyo iipitin ng 3 taon yung pera ng probinsya. Bakit mo bakit may 3 taon pa? Ba't di nyo na yung direct remittance kung tawagin? Naku, matagal namin pinagdebatihan ito. Pagka nag-federalism, magbabago yun dahil yung federated state ang siyang gagawa ng sariling polisiya para sa kanyang state, sa kanyang lugar. At kasama na dyan yung itinatawag na fiscal policy. Yung polisiya kung paano ang pagkolekta ng buwis. Alam naman natin, hindi naman lahat ng local government ay pare-pareho. Kaya meron nasa tabing dagat, meron nasa bundok, meron very developed, meron rural, very agricultural. Kaya iba-ibang pangangailangan ng bawat lugar. Kaya dapat napigay natin ang kapangyarihan dun sa mga lokal para makapag-decide kung paano ba ang patakbo natin dito sa ating lugar. Halimbawa, sa probinsya ko, sasabihin ko, ang talagang gusto kong pagandahin dito ay ang tourism. O di gagawa tayo ng tax holiday para sa mga hotel. Gagawa tayo ng tax holiday sa importation ng pagkain na galing para ipapakain natin sa mga turista. Doon naman sa kabilang probinsya, sasabihin natin, dito marami, nasa Makati halimbawa, ang daming korporasyon dito. Imbis na mag-tourism tayo, taasan natin yung tax ng corporate para maraming pera yung local government unit na gagamitin, malaking pondo, para gagawin natin yung kung ano yung gusto natin. So, mas maraming magagawa ngayon ang mga lokal. The reason I do it is because it's terribly important that people know, not only officials, not only elected officials, but the general public know exactly what are the salient issues about our move to federalism. Because it will, everything as important as a constitutional amendment will affect the lives of every man, woman, and child in the Philippines. And so they must know what is going on and how it will affect them. We must educate them and inform them about what this is all about, what the process is, what we are trying to do, why we are doing it, so that when the time for the plebiscite comes around, and they vote yes or no to approve the changes that are being proposed, they know what they are voting for. They know what a yes vote means, they know what a no vote means, and they can make a judgment as to how it will affect their own lives. It was a very full day that I had in Cebu, but most useful, productive, and I'm glad we went.